who apparently has joined Samson Mao's company Jan3 as their chief scientist. I'm going to go over what I understand to be Nick Szabo's background and, well, things I've been able to glean over the years about him and his prominent contribution to Bitcoin. Nick Szabo is a prominent figure in the fields of cryptography and digital currency. He's known for his pioneering work that created Bitcoin, and he's exceptionally brilliant academically at the intersection of computer science, law, economics. People use the word polymath, genius. They all appropriately describe him. Interestingly, his father fought in the Hungarian Revolution. That was a bitter defeat for them. It ended with Russian tanks rolling into the country, and his parents fled post-war Soviet regime in Hungary to settle in the United States. Szabo was born April 5th, 1964. He grew up in California and later graduated from the University of Washington. In 1989, he got this degree in computer science. I think he's always just pushing to learn. I mean, very academic-minded, as you can imagine, getting degrees. He later received a Juris Doctor degree from George Washington University Law School. His interdisciplinary approach combines technical, legal, historical perspectives. One podcast he gave, he doesn't give many, and it's been years. He said that he's always studying and learning history. No matter what he's doing, he's always studying history. And that informs just his perspective philosophically and as he has worked on technology. In the early 90s, he was among the first people to frequent the in-person cypherpunk meetings. These were organized by Tim May, Eric Hughes, many others. And they were about monthly. He would go about once a month. He would miss some, but stated he has gone to many of those cypherpunk meetings. Like the other cypherpunks, he was concerned with the receding privacy that was occurring in the digital age. There were fairly, at the time, big challenges going on with PGP, cryptography, privacy. The NSA was clamping down like, you cannot do this. And we're like, hello, it's on our t-shirt. Adam Back's famous t-shirt. You can write it down. Excuse me, is this code not free speech, or you're going to make these words illegal? Szabo led opposition to the NSA's Clipper chip. It was a proposed hardware that would have been embedded in phones. Imagine today we had phones with the Clipper chip. A Clipper chip, something like it would have just allowed the NSA to listen in directly all the time. Not that they can't do things right now as it is. However, this would have been like, yep, that's how it works. Szabo also envisioned the potential to create Galt's Gulch, if you've read Ayn Rand at all. Galt's Gulch in cyberspace. It would be a place online where individuals could operate and trade freely. How do you do that? You need digital money. In Ayn Rand's novel Atlas Shrugged, there was a concept of a force field that protected Galt's Gulch. It could be the idea of this force field. You'd replace that with public key cryptography. As cryptography technology came around, now granted it started in the 40s and earlier, but the private key, public key concept was becoming embedded into software. The cryptographers were really working on that. So the cypherpunks were learning about that. Szabo was also inspired by economist Friedrich Hayek. He found that human society is based on building blocks such as property and contracts. That's something you learn in law school. Fundamentals of society and law, property and contracts. Now, these are typically enforced by the state, central authorities. Szabo knew that these building blocks needed to be transferred to an online domain. We're probably going there anyway, but to do this correctly how do we not make it just centralized authority? So he came up with the idea of smart contracts. Every time you hear the term smart contracts, Nick Szabo created that term, and it was one of the early creators of that whole area of study. In 1994, he introduced smart contracts as self-executing agreements, terms directly written into code. Smart contracts could be enforced in a decentralized manner and reduce the need for intermediaries. Code would just simply, you set it up with rules, and it would make decisions, switches based on conditions automatically without a third party making sure that happened. He proposed creating a digital marketplace built on these automatic cryptographically secure processes. He spent, as I understand it, he spent some time working with David Chaum, who was doing DigiCash, a startup headquartered in Amsterdam. Chaum's company introduced the first digital cash that the world had ever seen in the form of e-cash. Digital cash was a decentralized. I'm sorry, DigiCash was a centralized company, but they were working on a way to make money online that could be used in a more decentralized way. Szabo found that it was possible for bad actors to attack the balances of users of eCash because it was still too centralized. Um, Nick Szabo had stated many times that, quote, trusted third parties are security holes. Um, uh, he's repeated that throughout his life. It's kind of a I think he made a joke. It could be on his tombstone. Trusted third parties are security holes. Szabo wanted to create a new form of money that did not depend on trust in any third party, so like an equivalent to a digital gold. So in 1998, Nick Szabo conceptualized and described BitGold, a digital currency system designed to fix many of the same problems that Bitcoin later solved. He did not fully describe BitGold in public until 2005. BitGold incorporated innovative ideas combining both proof of work mechanisms, also decentralized consensus. Both were integrated into Bitcoin's design. According to Szabo, he was specifically focused on the problem of double spending. He said, quote, I was trying to mimic as closely as possible in cyberspace the security and trust characteristics of gold, and chief among those is that it doesn't depend on a trusted central party, close quote. So although BitGold was never really implemented in code that we know of publicly, it was the direct precursor to Bitcoin. It demonstrated Nick's forward-thinking approach to digital currency. Interestingly, it was not cited in Satoshi's white paper. Szabo had hinted that he thought that was strange. I'll leave it at that. BitGold introduced the concept of a proof of work mechanism for both network security and for creating new units of currency. Participants or miners would start with a candidate string, a random number. They'd competitively hash it in a race to solve for a valid hash identified by the predetermined number of zeros. Sound familiar? Rewarded with new BitGold tokens. Sound familiar? This valid hash would become the next BitGold candidate string. And so the system would grow into a chain of time-stamped proof of work hashes. So again, blockchain here. Each new block in the chain would depend on the proof of work of the previous block. Obviously, as we understand it, making it difficult to alter every past block. As Nick has described it, like an ant in ember, every new layer of ember makes it less and less possible for that ant to not be preserved. Szabo proposed a consensus mechanism where the network would agree on the valid chain of blocks based on the longest chain with the most accumulated work. Again, sounds familiar. Using a concept of Friedrich Hayek's, BitGold relied on digital ownership registry. So valid hashes were linked to the public keys of their respective owners. And then this registry of owners would be maintained by a group of servers in a centralized fashion, like a property club membership model. So this is a concept resembling Wei Dai's proposed solution for B-money. Except instead of Dai's proof of stake system, B-money was more of a proof of stake system. Szabo proposed a Byzantine quorum system, not the Satoshi quorum we have today, but a Byzantine system where the majority of the green members could provide redundant consensus. In the 2000s, Szabo earned his law degree, started blogging extensively. Szabo's blog is called Unenumerated. You can still access it online, as I understand it. Unenumerated.blogspot.com, I think, is where you can get it. He has shared many of his insights over years on a wide range of topics. He's not been active on there lately. I keep kind of checking it to see if he wakes up again. I'll get to that in a little bit. In explaining his title, Unenumerated, he said that, quote, "The list of topics for this blog is so vast and varied that it cannot be enumerated," close quote. So it covers all the bases of everything. He's a genius. He's a polymath. He frequently discusses economic theories related to incentives, game theory, the design of digital systems, and he relates these to legal and social implications. In 2005, Szabo mentioned BitGold again on his blog. He wrote, quote, "BitGold would greatly benefit from a demonstration, an experimental market. Anyone want to help me code one up?" he asked. No one apparently responded or helped him out. He never apparently wrote it up in terms of BitGold. Now, fast forward to 2021. Samson Mao of Jan 3 approaches Nick Szabo at a Bitcoin conference a few years ago, plants the seed of joining his company. Nick Szabo has not been on Twitter, X, online, social media, on his blog, Unenumerated, anywhere that I'm aware of. I don't think any podcasts. I've done searches. Nick Szabo has laid low for years. He's been sorely missed on X, especially with some of the changes in open communication, the societal changes we've had over the years. He was always very vocal and opinionated on many topics, and he's ghosted us. And so my hope is that he is back. So Nick has joined, I guess, yesterday, January 9th, 2025. It was the day of the first block after the Genesis block. The first block after the Genesis block, January 9th, 2009. Nick has yesterday, January 9th, joined Jan 3 as their chief scientist. Samson Mao stated that Szabo's extensive contributions to Bitcoin, to digital currency, and to cryptography have undeniably influenced the development of Bitcoin and other decentralized technologies. That's kind of an understatement, but I do want to honor today Nick Szabo as he hopefully rejoins our community more publicly. I really look forward to seeing what he's working on these days. I hope he starts posting on X again. I hope he starts tweeting. I hope he does anything. I would love to read anything he writes. And I just love to see what he's been thinking about lately, because he's been just an incredible early, deep, understating the facts, contributor to cryptography, the cypherpunks, certainly founding father of Bitcoin. Thank you, Nick. We love you. Welcome back. Until next time. Bye.